On the afternoon of July 31st, an employee at a manufacturing facility was working inside a hopper, welding in a new liner using portable welding device. After finishing a portion of their work, the employee decided to take a short break at around 4:30 p.m. The worker removed their insulating gloves and welding shield to climb out of the hopper, unaware of the danger this decision posed to their personal safety. As the employee gripped the lip of the hopper with one hand and rested their other hand on the top of the still energized welding machine, they suffered an immediate and fatal electrical shock. Following the incident, OSHA's investigation uncovered several critical safety violations at the facility that increased workers' risk of electrocution and other hazards. The employer had not provided adequate mechanical ventilation inside the hopper, where the welding work was being performed. OSHA safety and health standards require proper ventilation to disperse welding fumes and minimize respiratory hazards to workers in confined spaces. Additionally, OSHA found that the ground connections on the portable welding machine had not been inspected for safety. Ground connections are essential to prevent electrical shock, and OSHA requires regular inspections to ensure they remain intact. In this case, the employer's oversight exposed workers to serious electrical hazards. The investigation also revealed that the welding machine's power plug was improperly connected at the time of the worker's death, further increasing the risk of shock. Alongside this issue, the welder's flexible cord was not fitted with proper strain relief, causing stress on electrical joints and connections, which can lead to failure and increase workers' risk of electrocution. This tragic event underscores the importance of OSHA's requirements for electrical safety in welding operations. Comprehensive safety measures like proper ventilation, rigorous equipment inspections, secure power connections, and strain relief on cords are vital for preventing electrocution and ensuring that workers conduct welding operations in the safest manner possible. On the afternoon of November 25, at around 1:30 p.m., a construction worker was performing routine tasks on the 7th floor of a high-rise building under construction. The worker was assigned to spray water onto concrete columns beneath the temporary framework built to support a substantial concrete pour on that floor. Tragically, the poured concrete weighed significantly more than the shoring system could handle. Without warning, the framework buckled under the weight, and the 7th floor collapsed, sending tons of wet concrete down onto the employee below, who was immediately and fatally crushed. Following the incident, OSHA conducted a thorough investigation and identified multiple safety violations. The findings underscored the critical importance of adhering to OSHA's standards for concrete and masonry work. OSHA cited the employer for a serious violation related to the inadequate review of the shoring plans provided by the engineering firms. The initial plans, as well as subsequent revisions, had failed to account for the additional load imposed by a thicker 24-inch concrete slab. OSHA regulations stipulate that all concrete formwork must be designed, erected, supported, and maintained to withstand any reasonably expected vertical or lateral loads. Unfortunately, the formwork in this case was not built to endure the actual weight of the poured concrete, resulting in a fatal structural failure. In addition to the failure in load-bearing design, OSHA noted an other than serious violation concerning inadequate training. The employer had permitted employees to erect formwork for cast-in-place concrete without providing the necessary instructions on safe procedures and regulatory requirements. Under federal law, employers must ensure that workers receive proper training to recognize and avoid hazards. The lack of instruction put workers at increased risk during formwork operations, leaving them unprepared to handle potential safety hazards effectively. This tragic case highlights the absolute necessity for compliance with OSHA's safety regulations in the construction industry, especially for concrete and masonry work. Proper adherence to formwork standards, combined with robust training, is essential to safeguard workers' lives and prevent avoidable accidents. On March 13 at 9:15 a.m., a tragic incident unfolded on a job site where a construction worker was using a 40-ton capacity overhead crane to move a 6,800-pound precast concrete slab. The slab was attached to the crane by two lifting studs embedded in the concrete, with lifting eyes secured by double nuts. However, as the employee maneuvered the crane, a two-chain hoisting sling accidentally snagged on a metal gusset on the slab, causing slack in the sling. This caused the slab to roll off its A-frame stand unexpectedly and tip over onto the employee. The worker died from the resulting internal trauma, broken bones, and severe head injuries. During their subsequent investigation of the incident, OSHA identified several violations that contributed to this worker's death, emphasizing the importance of safety standards to prevent such tragedies. OSHA issued a serious citation for the employer's failure to provide safe access to working areas. The employer had placed an extension ladder against a wall next to the concrete panel, obstructing the walkway between the acid wash area and other parts of the site. This setup left workers with a blocked path, creating a hazard in case of an emergency. Under federal OSHA standards, employers must maintain clear egress routes to ensure worker safety when moving to and from work areas. A second serious violation involved inadequate precautions in handling the crane's two-chain sling. OSHA's investigation revealed that the employer did not ensure the sling was properly cleared of obstacles during use. As the crane hoist lifted the slab, the chain sling snagged on a metal gusset embedded in the slab, causing the concrete panel to flip off its support and fall. This exposed employees to severe crushing hazards, a clear violation of OSHA safety standards, which require employers to prevent slings from catching on obstacles and posing potential dangers to workers and pedestrians. OSHA also cited the employer for an other than serious violation regarding inadequate training for crane operators. Specifically, the crane operator had not received instruction on the proper storage of radio remote controls, increasing the risk of accidental crane activation when the operator was not facing the equipment. This tragic incident highlights the fact that working with concrete is always dangerous and is often connected to many seemingly unrelated topics like crane safety, proper access and egress, and effective training for employees. The importance of clearing walkways, securing rigging from obstacles, and providing thorough training on how to operate equipment safely cannot be overstated, as these measures are vital in safeguarding lives on the job site. On shortly before noon on October 19, a worker at a concrete block and brick manufacturing company was tragically injured while cleaning a concrete mixer. While performing routine maintenance inside the barrel of the mixer, the worker was struck unexpectedly by a metal bar, causing a fatal skull fracture. OSHA's investigation revealed multiple safety violations, highlighting critical lapses in hazard control measures and safety protocols. After examining the site, OSHA issued several citations, emphasizing the importance of proper machinery safety procedures, lockout/tagout practices, and electrical safety requirements. Under the General Duty Clause of the OSHA Act, federal OSHA requires employers to maintain a safe workplace free from recognized hazards. In this case, OSHA cited the employer for failing to ensure safe equipment use. The mixer's hood, weighing nearly 100 pounds, was lifted and held open by a hook that lacked a safety latch. Although the hook was designed to prevent accidental load slips, it was not properly secured, increasing the risk of hazardous movements during cleaning. Another serious violation involved the absence of lockout/tagout procedures to prevent the mixer from re-energizing during cleaning. OSHA requires employers to implement lockout/tagout devices to control hazardous energy. However, in this case the employer allowed workers to clean the mixer without first placing its energy isolation device in a de-energized state and securing it with a lockout or tagout device. This lapse in judgment exposed employees to dangerous caught-in or crushed by hazards from unanticipated machine movement. OSHA also noted a serious violation involving electrical safety. The mixer was connected to a 110-volt electrical box with an unused opening. OSHA's electrical safety standards require that all unused electrical openings be properly closed to prevent contact with live electrical components. The failure to seal this opening created a risk of electrical shock or burns for employees working around the mixer. This incident underscores the critical importance of compliance with OSHA's safety standards in preventing workplace fatalities. Employers must ensure that machinery is secured with lockout/tagout devices during maintenance and that equipment such as hooks and electrical boxes meet safety standards. Attention to these requirements can significantly reduce hazardous exposures and protect employees from preventable injuries and fatalities. On the morning of July 7, a construction crew working for a water and sewer line company was involved in an incident that tragically highlighted the importance of OSHA's confined space safety protocols. At around 11 a.m., workers were attempting to remove a 24-inch rubber plug from a sewer pipe located within a 24-foot deep wet well. The crew first attempted to pull the plug using an attached nylon rope, but due to pressure caused by wastewater entering the well, the plug was wedged tightly into a T-shaped fitting. Without performing any atmospheric testing, one employee climbed down into the well with a crowbar to manually dislodge the plug, unaware of potentially hazardous gases that could be present. After struggling to remove the plug, the employee attempted to climb back up the ladder just 2 feet from the surface. However, the worker lost consciousness and fell back into the well. Recognizing the emergency, a second employee descended the ladder to help but also lost consciousness upon entering the space. A third employee also attempted a rescue, but this worker lost consciousness as well. All 3 workers tragically died due to asphyxiation from hydrogen sulfide gas, which had accumulated in the confined space. OSHA's investigation into the incident uncovered multiple serious safety violations, many of which underscored the importance of adhering to confined space entry protocols designed to protect workers from atmospheric and physical hazards. The employer failed to designate a competent person to identify, evaluate, and test confined spaces on site. A competent person could have recognized the permit-required confined space, assessed potential hazards, and ensured that it was safe before allowing workers to enter. OSHA also found that the employer did not evaluate potential hazards within the confined space before allowing workers to enter. Had this evaluation been conducted, the employer might have identified the potential presence of hydrogen sulfide gas and other atmospheric hazards in the wet well. Additionally, the wet well's opening, measuring nearly 8 feet by 6 feet, was left unguarded, exposing workers to a serious fall risk. OSHA fall protection standards require employers to secure confined space openings with guardrails or temporary barriers to prevent such falls. Under federal law, employers must test for breathable oxygen levels, flammable gases, and potential toxic contaminants before allowing employees to enter a confined space. However, in this case, the employer failed to conduct any such testing. As a result, the workers were exposed to lethal levels of hydrogen sulfide gas without any warning. OSHA also requires employers to purge, inert, flush, or vent confined spaces to remove or control atmospheric hazards. No such measures were taken to address the presence of hydrogen sulfide, contributing directly to the workers' exposure to lethal concentrations of the gas in the well's hazardous atmosphere. Employers must also ensure that emergency rescue equipment is readily available when employees are working in confined spaces. OSHA found that the company failed to have any such equipment on hand, violating federal safety requirements. Without this equipment, the workers' colleagues could not effectively attempt a safe rescue. OSHA also requires employers to develop written protocols for emergency rescue, medical treatment, and protection from unauthorized rescue attempts. In this case, no such protocols were in place, leading to an unplanned rescue attempt by untrained personnel, which ultimately resulted in further needless fatalities. Importantly, an entry permit detailing compliance with OSHA's confined space requirements should have been prepared before entry. The lack of a documented permit violated federal OSHA safety standards and underscored the absence of systematic hazard identification and control. The employer also failed to provide the necessary confined space safety training to help workers understand the risks and proper protocols associated with entering confined spaces. Without this training, employees remained unaware of the hazards of confined space entry and the measures necessary to mitigate them. Finally, OSHA cited the employer for failing to provide training specific to each worker's role in confined space entry, including the responsibilities of entrants, attendants, and supervisors. This lack of role-specific training left employees ill-prepared to safely manage confined space work or respond effectively in an emergency. This tragic case serves as a critical reminder of the essential nature of OSHA's confined space safety requirements in the construction industry. Proper planning, atmospheric testing, effective training, and the use of rescue equipment are vital to preventing fatal incidents in confined spaces. Employers must take these precautions seriously to protect their workers and avoid preventable tragedies like this one.